Now let's get to the conversation about lithium. This is what the Minister for the Sector, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, said in defense of the lithium mining agreement. We do know that following this admission as well as this defense, we now have not only civil society, the Office of the National Chief Imam, we also do have the Christian Council, as well as a number of statements raising issues. There's been a member of the Council of States, and then we have, of course, a number of them as well. Kofi Kwatin says, Wale Wale Senior High Technical School taking cement, 20-watt bulbs, markers, A4 sheet from poor parent. Kofi Asari says, it will end up the ministry now having to interdict almost 70% of heads across the country. Now, let's get this from Samuel Abu-Jinapor.
In everything we have done with this mining lease, in all humility and modesty, the interest of the Ghanaian people has been paramount. It has been months of thorough negotiations and hard work in respect of this transaction. Nothing has been agreed to casually. Everything has been thought through and everything has been worked out and all the options have been considered. And what we've arrived at is in the ultimate interest of the good people of Ghana. The government of President Akufo-Addo remains committed to the prudent, effective, and efficient management of the natural resources of our country, which have been entrusted to us, and doing so in the spirit of transparency, integrity, candor, and utmost good faith for the benefit of our nation. We remain focused on this goal and call on you all, nationals and residents of our country, to support government in this quest.
And as part of the focus, these are some of, we're told, the advantages, the rewards Ghana will be reaping on this agreement, which of course so far has come under excessive pressure, criticism. 12 years, likelihood extension through ongoing prospecting, we're told. Averagely, we're going to have 350,000 tons of concentrate. And then, of course, subsequently, you take a look at the other projections. We're looking at 185 billion for 40 months being the projected mine construction development costs, payback period of some 17 months, average sale price, as we know it, over the life of a mine being the estimates in this agreement as we have it. And subsequently, you also have what it is, because discussions with the Ghana Stock Exchange, we're also told that Security Exchange Commission have progressed extensively, where we're going to have a mandatory listing of this company, Bavari, on the Ghana Stock Exchange. That's supposed to be an advantage, we're told. And the sector fiscal regime will be a royalty rate of some 10% on lithium and all associated minerals, 5% for mining sector. Corporate income tax, of course, we'll be getting that, 35%, same for rest of the sector. Freed carried interest of 13%. 10% for the rest of the mining sector, we're told. And so you look at this, of course, there will be payments by way of the regular taxes and then the uses of this. I think this one, we're told, is what has become the mainstay, the concern of not only civil society, but those who have been in the sector already. Say, this has become critical. It's what we use for the gadgets all that we have around. It's becoming, we use it for heart pacemakers, etc. So the conversation is, shouldn't we move away from just the regular way, even though we're told this is an improvement, it's still up for debate, from the way we tend to structure some of these agreements. Lawyer, what do you say to this? All the concerns that have been raised, your own general observations.
I must say that you caused an ambush by bringing in the education topic when we were supposed to discuss this. And it's now 7:50, and so we will have a limited time to talk about it. This is very important, excruciatingly important, and so probably the next time you won't ambush us. Having said that, you see, we are all moving from fossil fuel to transition. I mean, they had a CAP
to green energy.
Yeah, to green energy. They had a CAP conference on that, and so. Resources like these are very important globally. And then we have, this is the first agreement we are signing for our lithium, the very first. We've had several other agreements with gold, bauxite, and whatnot. This is the very first. Now, there's something called resource nationalism. Resource nationalism is we are so nationalistic about our natural resources that we want to do it ourselves. And whoever is coming in, we just probably give them service contracts and whatnot. Now, countries that do those things have had about 100 years plus of granting concessions, building local content, building the resources that will let them later on take over. So, for instance, in the Nigerian oil and gas industry, they now have 90% local content. In Ghana, we are now coming up, all right, to about, we started with 10%. We are now trying to build it up because Nigeria has had 50 years plus, let's say 60 years plus, 70 years of drilling oil. So over a period of time, you're able to do that. So when we have lithium, we do not even know the amount of lithium we have.
In terms of the deposits.
In terms of reserves.
As of now, the estimate, we say in excess of some 4.8 billion,
yes.
at least the initial.
Yes, but that's a reserve. Now,
the whole country, or the area.
What already we have by way of
what we've
seismic,
discovered, which is the area, but we don't have any other, you see. And so if someone is coming into it, the person is taking a risk. And I mean, of course, I know their lawyers will advise them as to their risks, political risk, legal risk, economic risk, resource risk. And they have taken it upon themselves to regardless come in. All right. And so we cannot, from the start, be so resource nationalistic to the extent that we've probably talked 50-50 and whatnot as in the public domain. And I can understand that because we've had gold for how many years? Probably 1,000 years. All right. But where you have gold being mined, you do not see the direct benefit to those areas. And so when people are being emotive about this, I can understand that. But beyond that, we have to be realistic and start from a point. Now let's look at how good this agreement is from the previous ones and even in comparison with other areas. So we have a royalty tax, which is a royalty rate, which is 10%, right? Now, Australia has 5%. Chile has 8 to 20, and Chile is unique. Chile has 8 to 26%. Mali has 6. Zimbabwe has 5. Now we have corporate income tax. That's 35. It's always been 35 here. Australia has 30. Mali has 30. Zimbabwe has 25. Free carried interest or carried interest. I mean, carried interest means it's carried, so it's free. 13%. 10% for the rest of mining. In accordance with clause 19b. All right. So we've bettered that. Mali has 10%. Zimbabwe has no carried interest. What's carried interest? Carried interest is that we come together and then you have to, because we are coming into it to mine together, you have to contribute your quota to it. All right. But we are now saying that even though we are due the 13%, you carry us. We will not pay anything. We have bettered that. Beyond this, we have also had stakes in it. Okay? To the extent that, see, Barari is a company whose parent company exists. We even have 3% stake in that as well. And we have negotiated board membership on that company. So I think this is a far cry from what we know. You see, it's a far cry from what we know. Now we're also saying that the lithium that is coming out, you cannot export it in its raw form. You have to create a refinery here. We have to refine it before you're able to export it. This is unique. It hasn't happened before. Even gold, one of the flagship projects of Nkrumah was to build a refinery. Unfortunately, it didn't see the day of light. But when we have here, and we insist that if you are not able to do that within a space of time, we will give that contract to another company to build a refinery. Then I think this is a huge improvement of what is in the system. Now, I talked about Chile. Chile is the largest, in fact, there's a triangle, Chile, Argentina, that lithium triangle. All right, they have the largest reserves. Now, Chile has taken upon itself years to do the reconnaissance. So they know the actual reserves. So if you walk to Chile to engage in a mine of lithium, you know what you are getting. It's not, the risk is so small that it is almost accurate. You know what you're getting. So Chile can say, whatever you get, we have 50%. Is within their right. When Ghana gets to that point, we will come do that. Now, I want to say that, and I can see you really want to say something. I want to say that there are 3 areas of benefiting from natural resources. 3. Beyond the corporate tax. There's your interest in it, which is equity. There's royalties. Then there's local content. What we fail in Ghana to do is to build the local content. That's what we fail to do. And even when we have taken bold steps, for instance, in the petroleum sector, at 919, we took a bold step to say that carried interest is 15%, and there must be another local company in Ghana which must have minimum 5%. That's a law. So, and you know, the Constitution sits above the Parent Act. In this case, it's Act 703. In petroleum, it's Act 919. Then the agreement. So each one must respect whatever is above it. Now, we signed that contract, and we struggled to get a Ghanaian, an indigenous company, to take the 5%. Why? Because we hadn't built the local capacity. In the end, we had to prop up GOIL to get GOIL upstream to take up. And even that, you see that in the at 919, it says that the minister, if we are finding it difficult to get someone to take up the 5%, the minister can give someone less than the 5%. So you see, what we should be aiming at is local content, building local capacity. And that doesn't happen just by passing a law or signing an agreement. It is putting structures in place. That is why I would say, and several people have said, the actors in the industry have said that this is one of the best Ghana has signed. That is not to say that this is the best we can ever get. I mean, the agreement itself says that until it's ratified by Parliament, it doesn't become operational. We know from the SNQB case that that's the law. And it actually fixes it in the agreement section 1E that it must be submitted to Parliament for ratification first. So that the fact that it's signed does not mean that it's coming to force until Parliament has ratified it. Now, until we put in place structures that will make the indigenes take part in this industry, we will have agreements go, come. People will be motive about it, but we will not achieve significant participation in this, and that's what we need.
All right.
We need local content that is built over a period of time.
Mr. Kofi Adams, that's at the heart. All the very things that Lawyer Mwakwabudu is saying is at the heart of the conversation. There's a former Chief Justice of Ghana, Sophia Akufo, and the respectable Sophia Akufo, after leaving the Supreme Court as its head, based on the appointment, respectfully says, we cannot continue to be doing the same things all the time. Yeah. And how long ago did we pass the local content law as it is for petroleum? Yeah. And so it's not as if we don't have a test case to continuously learn from. Let's hear from Sophia Akufo, and then I'll come to ask you a critical question on the subject.
The current agreement pegs the state's free carried interest at 13%. Additionally, the government, through the Minerals Income Investment Fund, would acquire a further 6% of the mining operation and 3.06% of the parent company listed in Australia and London. The company would also be mandated to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange for local investment participation and a stipulated 1% revenue payment into community development funds for impacted areas. The lease requires the company to construct a domestic chemical plant for lithium processing or supply any lithium mined to third-party processing plants in Ghana. Former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo contends that this agreement with all these provisions is bad and must be cancelled without fear of a judgment debt.
My legal view, is that a transaction that requires ratification is not complete. It's incomplete. This is a document. It is signed and sealed. and delivered. But because it is a deed which has to be ratified by a named authority, that is the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, this process is incomplete.
So, Kofi Adam, the question is, why should Parliament take a critical look at this? Because at the end of the day, you, the people's representatives, are going to make sure all the I's and the T's are going to be dotted, right?
Sure. The nation has given Parliament the responsibility to ratify many of these agreements. And let me start by saying, I do know that there have been attempts for some companies to go into execution or mining without ratification by Parliament, and that is wrong. And investors must take note, including this lithium agreement that has been signed for Ewoya, that they dare not move into the stage of mining when Parliament has not ratified that agreement. And I do know that the Parliament I belong would not ratify this agreement in the form that it is, because if we listen to people who sent us to Parliament, our constituents, they are telling you directly that we are not satisfied with what has been offered Ghana in this deal. Period. That they are not satisfied. And once they are not satisfied, you must not go ahead to use the mandate given you to ratify an agreement that clearly Ghanaians are telling you that they are not satisfied just because government is happy about it. I hear all kinds of argument, including but not limited to the fact that we have been given board membership. So one board membership. So if you have, assuming that you have 5 board members or 7 and they gave you 1, are you the one going to have a final say? A decision comes, you are supposed to vote over it, you vote against it, and the rest vote in favor. How has that benefited the country? Because the person sits on the board. We are not interested in like perks that come to individuals. That's not what we are looking at. That's not what we are looking for. We are looking for a situation where, as a country, we will benefit heavily. And everybody is saying that you cannot be comparing what you got now with the colonial arrangements that have led to us suffering till now.
And that we need to depart from the
We need to depart completely from the status quo. And we are so lucky we are dealing with a green mineral that the world is what? Now chasing. The world is looking for. This is a country, lawyer, this is a country that in COP26, we took 335 Ghanaians to COP26. COP27, we took 350. COP28, we took 618. Meaning that as a country, we are interested in the shifting from the fossil fuels to the green. And you find it. You have it here. Then you come and have some kind of agreement and you say you compare it with the colonial system and say, oh, this is at least better. It is still a failure mark. And we think that we can do something better than we have done.
As Parliament, what could be done by way of the scrutiny?
Thank you very much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Ratification, I don't think that Parliament will ratify the agreement in this form. I am not seeing at least our NDC 137 doing so. And I dare say that the MP from the area, luckily the Infanseman MP, is on the side of government. I don't think that she would have to accept this. And by extension, even MPs from Central Region. If they dare, if Parliament dare, and anyone who will vote to ratify this, Ghanaians must look them in the face and deal with them if they present themselves again for re-election.
There'll be a walkout.
No.
I'm saying that and deal with them if they present themselves for re-election.
Let's talk about salient provisions.
When you were
Let's
talking
talk about
please,
how
please.
Ghana will benefit and
We
how
are
you will
serious.
benefit
Please.
We are
than
serious about
politicizing
this.
it.
Please.
We are not
It's not
politicizing.
No, you're
politicizing.
politicizing.
You have a
Politicizing.
former, you have a former chief justice. No, please.
It doesn't
you
mean
have a
that
former
it
chief-
doesn't mean that she
please,
has a
please hold
final
on.
say. It does not mean
No.
that she has a final
No,
say.
hold on.
You
Hold
see, we talk about what the law says.
No problem.
Law says
Lawyer.
it is coming to
The
parliament.
problem is
You
with our
ratify
laws.
it.
According to the
taking-
former chief justice,
look
the
at
problem is with our
provisions
laws.
of the agreement signed on the 20th of
Lawyer.
October and tell us how you can better that.
Lawyer,
Rather than
what
going
we
to
are
the
saying
farm,
is that what we are saying is that it will take the government less than 1 week if they want the law amended. We can take it through certificate of what? Agency. And once a committee so determines, this will be taken through just 1 day. All the processes.
So
We are saying,
which
No,
part?
please,
Which
please.
part
No,
do you
no,
want
no, please.
amended?
No, please.
Which part?
You don't ask the questions here, unfortunately.
No, but you're not doing justice
No,
to the topic.
no,
You are
please.
not doing
No,
justice
please.
to the topic. You see,
In
there's
terms,
an agreement.
in
There's an agreement.
terms of how can key people be raising questions and lawyer Makwabudi, it can be wrong. No, let's not do this. Let's not do this.
I've spoken
please.
about
he
Respectfully,
hasn't
let's
asked you
not
any
do this.
question. You are the
Let's
one
not do
who
it.
is.
Just, we'll
I
come to
don't
it.
know his interest in defending something that Ghanaians
I'm not
think.
defending this.
A lot of
I am
Ghanaians
saying
think
that
that
all
no, I'm not
Ghanaians,
no,
all
no,
Ghanaians
please. No.
stand to benefit from this. And so if there are portions that you think Ghanaians will benefit better, we want to hear, that's all. Because it's ours, not one individual's. It's ours. So if there are we think this portion,
Point made.
then we can discuss it.
Very
Because
well.
it belongs to the two of
Please-
us.
please
It belongs
note.
to all of us.
Please note.
But let's not politicize it. When we politicize it, we lose.
Where is the politicization?
He's saying that
you
when
mean the former
if
chief
people-
justice?
No, he's saying that if
Sambo
people, he's
Kujeto,
saying
they are
that if-
politicizing.
He's saying that if
The-
people
the
vote
Christian
and
Council of
pass
Ghana-
it,
No,
people will look at them in the face. That's not how to go
Ghanaians
about
must
it.
be
Let's look at
interested
it.
in what their parliament will do as far as ratification of this agreement is concerned. And if anybody decides
Lawyer
that
Makwabudi, please.
he or she is going to go for ratification of this agreement, that person must be looked in the face and for them to know that that person, that particular person is not interested in the country getting a better value for its minerals. Look, not too long ago, Roland, I'm not taking you out. Parliament used to have its post-budget workshops outside of Parliament for a good reason, that in order to get many more persons paying attention and attending. We proposed to have it done in Accra and within the precincts of Parliament. There were many who thought that it would not be successful because people would not pay attention. Indeed, this was the post-budget review that we had a lot more persons attending. Some persons who have even never attended when we held it outside of Accra attended. Better participation, better cooperation, we saved a lot
So
of
the
money.
point is-
My point is that there are many Ghanaians who are there to change. They don't want change. They feel like, oh, we are so comfortable. Oh, we compare with the colonial system, we've done better. Now we are getting 13%, we are getting 10% royalty, we're getting about 13% carried interest and so on and so forth. So it's a good deal as compared to previous ones. We are saying we can get it better. We can do better. We will be able to even get more. It will benefit us as a country. And we must listen to voice of what? Discernment that have spoken. Not just the Chief Justice, even their own lawyer, Okujeto. Lawyer Okujeto has spoken. He says this thing, Parliament must not ratify it.
All
So
right.
don't limit these things to...
Let's get an
to
insert
that.
from
You see,
the
what-
distinguished Sambo Kujeto, and then we'll come back. We'll get an industry
I'm happy.
person also to add to the conversation because it's important that we get the nuances of the industry.
Certainly, not the politics. the
And
nuances.
then at the end of there's no politics.
No,
You-
there
you-
is.
You're not
He's
saying
shifting
Sambo
it-
Kujeto. Please,
he's
let's get the
shifting it to
insights and
politics.
quickly.
I want us to come to the nuances.
IEA to say that we do not think that this agreement is in the interest of Ghana and that we need to relook at this matter. Let us tell whoever is signing this document, and I don't even want to condemn our MPs, we will caution them and advise them to do what is what? Right. What is in the interest of Ghana.
Well, that coming from Sambo Kujeto also does give us the indication that not everybody is happy with this. all that is being said is that we need to have a certain relook. It should come before Parliament.
Yeah, it will surely come before
All right.
Parliament.
But
you
you see,
Roland,
No,
can
you
you
see,
allow? Can you,
I was saying
can you allow
something.
me
You
to
cut
finish
it. You
that?
said let's listen to him.
please.
But you're reverting to him. But that's
You
not
wanted
fair.
to
I
explain.
haven't even finished. I'm saying that, look, nobody has accused anyone of any breaches.
Okay.
They haven't accused anybody of
Great.
any breaches.
Great.
All we are saying is that we can get a better deal. Nobody has been accused of
Great.
any breaches.
Great.
So I don't see why people are talking about and they have not breached any law. They have not. No, nobody has been accused of any breaches.
All right.
But we are saying we can get
what,
a
Doctor-
better deal.
what I was
Stephen
asking
Aka.
you is, which
Dr.
parts?
Stephen Aka, are you on the
So
stream?
that we
Good
can
morning
follow
to
the
you.
topic. What parts?
Dr. Stephen Aka, good morning to you. Dr. Stephen Aka, good morning. Dr. Stephen Aka, good morning to you.
I think he's muted his side or something.
Please, have you unmuted? Good morning. Okay, so Dr. Stephen Aka is Executive Director for the Ghana Mining Expo. We wanted to get an industry perspective on this. Now, nobody is impugning. And if you listen to former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo as well as the rest, Sam Okujeto, etc., the question has always been that we need to depart from the terms, how we tend to word and structure, and then negotiate some of these agreements in the extractive sector. That cannot be wrong, is it?
You see, what I have kept on saying is that there are three ways of benefiting. Equity.
We know the benefit. You've rated.
No. You asked. You see, you've asked a question. I'm answering it. He's interrupting. You haven't stopped him. It's not fair. Now, equity.
You are complaining of interruption.
Kofi.
Mr. Kofi Adams.
Me and you. We are not like this.
Please, Mr. Makobodo, please continue.
Like this. You see, equity. All right. That's our stake in it. Local content, then royalties. Okay. Now, if it comes to lithium or a resource, we cannot be so resource nationalistic to ignore where we are in the political economy of things. We cannot do that. Otherwise,
Nobody has argued against that.
you are not listening to me.
I'm listening to you.
We cannot do that. Otherwise, you can have a situation where you are not attractive anymore. And investors will go elsewhere.
Even Mali, they are still going.
So
Our deposits
So-
are deposits.
so-
if they are on the ground, they are there.
Even Mali,
No, please,
even
please,
Mali,
please, please.
even Mali,
You
they are
see,
still
you've
going.
made it
see-
disruptive.
you-
please.
you see-
When you was
you
doing,
see-
you said you didn't like
you
it.
see, you see, when
When
you
he
talk
continued.
like that, there are areas in Nigeria where they had so much gas that all they do is gas escapes, and they thought it was the god who just appeared. Until the white man came to discover they were sitting on resources and were fishermen. We don't want that. We want to be able to develop our resource, and I'm saying that we take part in it, that we can build an industry out of it. That should be the long-term focus. To do that, that we are saying that a refinery should be born out of this is major. We cannot say that.
Lawyer
that is not,
Mokwabedu.
yes.
The argument that has been made by all this plethora of individuals,
Yes.
very much experienced, whether in the law or in other areas of governance and industry, is that nobody is arguing with government, of course, led by the ministry, in terms of what has been structured.
Yes.
They say we can get a better deal by way of
So,
the percentage.
so they should. You see, I want people. That's why when he was going the other way,
Have you been to South
I-
Africa?
That's why when
Have
he
you
was
been
going-
to South Africa?
That's why
Have
when
you
he
been
was
to
going
South
the
Africa,
other
sir?
way, I interrupted because I want specifics. If you are saying we want the participation increased, to what extent? How do you justify that? So that we can talk about. Otherwise, we are being emotive about this. And when it comes to natural resources, our natural resources, we cannot. We have to be realistic about every. You see, if we will not go to IMF, we will not have. We will not be borrowing money.
We might go for hundreds of
Because
millions.
we haven't.
We don't have gone to the IMF.
Because we haven't sorted it. This is now the time for us to start take the steps of sorting out properly.
Is that so?
We cannot do so by being emotional about it. There are several people who are talking about who cannot pinpoint a specific provision and say that we think we can do this better. Because see, we are Oliver. Oliver will always ask for more. Always ask for more. I wish it was 100% Ghana. I wish. That's not realistic now. And you see, this is an area I teach, natural resources. We need to understand the political economy of why we are where we are. In doing so, you cannot be too passionate to be unrealistic. You have to now take steps to solve that problem. That is more important. Solve the problem. The problem is get us to be partakers of it, build an industry out of it. And I'm saying the first step in doing so, you see, if we could refine our gold from all these years, don't you think we would have created a massive industry? But
have you been to South Africa?
But we didn't do that.
Have you been to South Africa?
But we didn't do that.
Have you been to South Africa?
No, I haven't been to South Africa.
Okay, great.
Now, but I don't
have
need,
you watched videos of South Africa?
I don't need to go to South Africa.
And their cities
Listen, I don't need to
which
go to
have
South
benefited
Africa.
from diamonds and gold.
I don't need to go to South Africa to understand the issue. I told you I teach this. This is my area that I teach. What I'm saying is that we must create a enabling environment for people to realize themselves in this industry. So when we say that this is better than what we've seen so far, it doesn't mean that we are patting ourselves on the back to say that forever this is what
not exactly what we're doing?
No, that is not. Because, you see, when we are being emotional about it, we don't even listen to each other.
Why is
now,
emotion?
why is the emotion?
When I say this is better, I'm equally saying that as Oliver, we can ask for more. Let this be the platform on which we build better deals. That's how I'll
right.
Let this be the platform on which we build better deals, so that we understand the industry. We are able to take part in refining it. We are able to take decisions because we talk about control. We are able to be part of the controlling mind of that system. That is then when we are now coming into ownership of our resource. Until we do that, it's going to be theories.
Right.
So then let's keep it.
All right. No, Dr. Aka, can you hear us now? Good morning to you. CEO for the Ghana Mining Expo. Good morning to you.
Bring it back, let's review it.
Dr. Aka, can you hear us?
That's why it needs parliamentary ratification.
So let me ask a question here. Which sections? Yeah. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Aka.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Dr. Aka is the CEO for the Ghana Mining Expo. You look at some of the key arrangements that have been made in this lithium mining agreement and the observations that have been made that we can get a better deal. By way of industry observations, how realistic is that?
All right, thank you very much, Roland. So, I mean, lithium is very new in the mining sector now. Ghana is lucky to have this specific resource, which is good for us as a continent, also as a country. If you look at the future critical minerals and the global energy transition, it is expected that we need 50 more lithium mines. We need 10 copper mines, and we need 25 nickel mines by 2030. So if Ghana, who is number one in gold production, happen to have a lithium discovery, it means we're on the right track. But you see, from ages, there has been a historic imbalance when it comes to mining in Ghana. And I think this is where we need to look at. For example, we are all talking about lithium just within a few months ago. But you could see that lithium was discovered even during Kwame Nkrumah's time. The issue is that we have not been able to sit down to look at the strategic and the critical initiative that will help us as a country. We are all complaining about how this agreement was signed, but you're in a country that you don't even have an exploration fund. You understand? So if you don't have an exploration fund, of course, it means this will continue and continue till maybe we all leave this nation. Exploration fund is the bedrock of mining. The country doesn't have an exploration fund to support indigenous miners in the country to help them go into exploration. So by doing this, it means that if the Minerals Income Investment Fund, now we are likely to have an investment vehicle by the government to decide to try and invest. Even with that, MAVE doesn't have that full capacity to go into some of these initiatives. So, Roland, I think what we have to understand is that there has been a serious imbalance in ensuring that there is value addition to minerals in Ghana. We don't have, first of all, there's no exploration fund in Ghana. So it means when you have your own concession, you have to put in money by yourself. If you look at what is happening with this, Awoya or Atlantic agreement, the first question that most of us are trying to ignore is that who are the indigenous owners of this mine? Atlantic did not just come to Ghana to just come and invest. There must be a specific indigenous company who own this specific. They've been there, they've been holding this concession for some years now. Because if you look back, Awoya was discovered since 2005. If you go to Minerals Commission, you will see that it was going to 2005. What was happening? So we have to look at who are the indigenous. What support did these people get? Were there any support to help them in exploration, in looking at the confirmed resource that we have, to confirm the pegmatite bodies, to look at the holes that we have, before we all talk about investment. I think there are things that we never looked at. You understand? So now,
Dr. Aka, if you take a look at what the various local content laws we've had, of course, the supervision by and regulation by the Petroleum Commission, etc., and then also, of course, what the supervision also is based on the guidelines are by the Minerals Commission. What lessons have we learned so far that we think as a carry-on we can use as a basis to take a relook at this agreement, whether we have an exploratory fund, etc., or not?
Thank you very much. By law, MIF cannot invest and have more than 20%.
Certainly.
You understand?
Certainly.
So in that sense, then now let's assume that maybe the government have 11%, Ghana government have 11%, based on whatever agreement that has been signed. Now let's go back to the local content. What is the share value by the local entity that have partnered with, that have done this joint venture with Atlantic? We need to look at that. For example, if this local entity are able to, let's say 20%, it means Ghana is not just going to have 11%, it's going to go beyond that. But if you look at what is happening now, the locals did not invest, they didn't do any exploration. There was no exploration actually done by the local entity. So it means they only benefited from the share value by getting, let's say, 5%, 7%, which they may decide not even to disclose to us. You understand? So I think for me, if you look at, as I mentioned, if you look at the critical minerals composition of what is happening in globally.
Well, Dr. Aka of the Ghana Mining Expo, at the end of the day, we have to come to the basics, right?
Well,
the question is, which are the specific key issues that we need to take a real look at if this agreement, by any chance, should come to Parliament?
Well, clearly, when it comes to ratification, you cannot immediately give indication that go change this, go change that. You are either ratifying the agreement that they have already signed, or you are not ratifying it. And I personally, and listening to many other persons who have spoken on this subject and taking a read at the parts of the agreements that I've been able to look at, feels that we can get something better than we are being offered. We are happy about what it is, or those who are happy about what we have gotten are comparing it with the colonial agreements that we've had, which has not seen us move. That is why today you go to Obuasi is still the way it is after many years of mining. That is why you go to many other mining areas, they are still the turquoise and the rest, they are still the way they are after many years of mining. I don't think that we should continue to celebrate and compare our agreements now to those agreements that we clearly have seen have not helped us. And it is for this reason that the previous administration, for example, established key funds. The Ghana Infrastructure Investment Funds were part of funds that were established to be able to at least give a base for Ghana to be able to invest into such things. Unfortunately, you know what has happened to that fund. It's been depleted and put into all kinds of things that don't even exist, like putting $2 million into a SkyTrain program that have not even been licensed to operate or to do any such thing. And today, we have found one thing. The minister says there's no such arrangement for SkyTrain because even ground train, they are not able to even do it. That's where they are putting all these monies in. So there exists combination of funds. The Heritage Fund that we put in there after the oil find. All these funds are supposed to help us shore up our capacity to be able to leverage on and borrow to do even much more to benefit us. After all, if we don't mind, it stays there until we are able to reach that stage of what capacity. But we have the capacity. We have the capacity. Funding may be the issue, but I have shown you that we have established some funds that we can use as a leverage to borrow and to be able to invest appropriately. It is not the case that the story he told of a community in Nigeria where they were sitting and thinking that it was some gods that have visited them. Now we've gone past that. We have the capacity. We have people who have learned. He tells us that he is a teacher of minerals and natural resources.
Law.
That's what he tells us. That's what he teaches. It means that even he has also studied the law aspect of that. There are others who have studied the geological aspect of it and so on and so forth. So we have them. We have some of the best miners here. So we have the capacity. All that we are saying is that this deal, if you compare with the colonial one, you say, oh, you have jumped a step. But it's not enough. Okay. That step is not enough, especially when you are dealing with a grain mineral, a mineral that is being sought out for, a mineral that is going to be the game changer. Okay. We think that we must do much more.
There's a key consideration when I was speaking to a number of, including law teachers in the sector, energy, many of the natural resources, and even those who have worked as technical people. They say, if you look at our model agreements as far as petroleum is related, and now we're making all these new discoveries, and we have iron ore deposited somewhere else, etc. It also means that we should have learned from those experiences from pre-independence, post-independence up to today, to be able to say that local content and trying to undertake key investment as a country to be made a consideration. When can we get there?
Okay, so you see, when it comes to natural resources, each resource is different. So the political economy of each resource is different from the other. There are similarities that we can learn from. For instance, when it comes to the petroleum sector, LI 2204 defined what a local company is. And a local company is to benefit from the industry, all right? Then it goes further to define an indigenous company. An indigenous company is different from a local company. Local company is a company that's come to register in Ghana. It becomes a local company subject to our laws. Indigenous company talks about ownership. Now, we realize that it is not helping us. So we amended that and made ownership, because then it was 51% ownership. So that if the Ghanaian have 51% ownership, then it becomes an indigenous company. We have increased that to 100 with 90% management and 100% workforce. So over a period of time, when we engage in a resource and then we look at the political economy of that particular resource, we are able to amend it. So we cannot say that because we dealt with gold, we should have learned all the lessons from gold, or because we have had oil, we should have learned all our lessons from oil. Oil, for instance, building local content, that is very important, that's key. Building local content. We realize that the welders, that we have too many welders, we've always had welders. We realize that the welding that we know is not the same as welding, for instance, in downstream or upstream. Upstream, you are going under the water to weld. We have to take our people to Aberdeen and all those places to learn, to be trained, to be ISO certified before we bring them back. All that while, the agreement is ongoing, production is ongoing, and then we are learning. But you see, we've had, for oil, we've had the blessing of learning from Nigeria and Norway. We are still not there yet. So we cannot say that the moment we come to lithium, we should have learned all the issues. These are the issues, lithium. They say we should look at South Africa, the South African model. We've already explained the South African model. The technical person has made capital of the issue of reconnaissance, exploration. That gives you everything. You know everything before they start. If you don't do that, and the person comes to take that risk, the person will not give you that 40%, 50% we require. That is why I keep on saying, let's not be emotional about it, because let's look at it. Once we don't do that, then we are just doing, you see, it is mine. I'm resource nationalistic in saying that it is mine, so I must own it. But let's get to the bottom of the realities of it. Then we're talking about, some are even talking about service contracts. We are not there yet. Saudi Arabia started, they had to create Aramco. Aramco is a downstream petroleum industry. Years later, more than 70 years, now they bought the Americans out of it. So the Aramco, the Aram, that's American, is not gone, but they've maintained their name. Why? Because they learned from them. That is why if you're going to, for instance, if you're going for reconnaissance
So we should wait 70 years?
No, we should build capacity quickly. He is saying that legally there are several lawyers like me who delve in the natural resources sector. There are several accounting, because there's something called arbitrage. When they come, they study your systems, and they have the best accountants, best lawyers. They will not breach the law, as he's saying, but they can avoid certain taxes. We need things like that. We need accountants. We need engineers. We need, that doesn't just,
Mr. Kofi Adam,
you just can't click your hands, and then it happens. So please, let me land on this. No. Transparency. Key, transparency. That is why you must publish and gazette them. That is why you must go to my brother's quarters, so that they have a look at it.
You mean the members of parliament?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that if they have any concerns, it will come out. It is not that once it's signed, it's done. It's not. But
you're
sure
not making the concerns being raised a parliamentary issue, because it clearly is not.
The concerns...
It's not coming from the quarters of only parliament.
No. But all right, Parliament must also come and say, this is the part, that is the part that we don't get.
I disagree that people who are raising concerns about this agreement are being emotional about it. No, they are very serious. They think that we can get something better, and it's better for those who have the opportunity, who have been given the mandate to deal with such issues, to rethink and see, one, if it is the law that must be amended, they should be walking towards Parliament immediately, and Parliament will do just that for them. We can take this through in a matter of a day under certificate of what? Urgency. Right. So we can deal with it and resolve all the issues that they think that the legal regime will help them.
Dr. Akab, sorry we couldn't take a lot from you. He's the CEO for the Ghana Mining Expo, and then also Amwakwa Buedu is a legal practitioner. And thank you for joining us as well. And then, of course, we have the Member of Parliament for Boehm, Central, to take over from Kennedy. Are you taking part in the primary? So we have from a couple of you. Mani says, Roland, please, what is the use of the School of Mines that we constituted and introduced years ago? It is a learning process, but we can always depart from the status quo, Mani says. We also have Mimi, also saying the youth of this country must be vigilant, else by the time we have all these corrupt leaders done, we won't be left with anything but debt. How do you say that a mineral resource that's in the ground, that for which we have an agreement, people should not be emotional about it? And then we have a couple of you as well. But in the meantime, we have a couple of messages as well. Again, we have cash out, we have *439#. And are we able to do the draw? Good morning to you, Dr. Ali Nachia, and thank you as well. And then we have Faustine Misa as well. It says, Mr. Ibrahim Ahama and his engineers and planners could also do a lot when it comes to, they are even in other countries. So